Okay, so it's time for another update to the New York Unsafe Act. They pretend that it's called the SAFE Act, and they have a nice little acronym for it, but that's a big fat lie. It's been a while since I've done an update here, and a lot of stuff has happened, so I'm just going to try to cover a few things because the rally's coming up. So I guess we'll start with that. The rally for the gun rights is coming up here. It's going to be held in Albany, and it's going to be held the day after tomorrow, which will be the 28th, though by the time this video uploads, well, no, I'm recording it on YouTube, so it'll be up there pretty darn quick. So yes, the day after tomorrow, the 28th, in Albany on the Capitol building, near the Empire State Plaza and the Egg and all that good stuff. I say that those landmarks because I've never actually been to Albany. I avoid that place like the plague, and as we can see, there's a sickness coming out of it. But it's happening the 28th. It's going to be at 12. A lot of people already know about this. In fact, quite a few. They're expecting many thousands of people there, and I hope there's even more than that. I hope we at least break the 5-digit mark, and we have at least 10,000 people there. I'm hoping for 20, 30, 50. It doesn't matter. As many as we can get would help. There's buses coming from all over the state to go and protest, and we finally did it on a work day. That's both bad and good. Bad because people are not always so keen to take the work days off to go to something like this. I did. And but it's good because that means that people are going to be working in the Capitol building, the legislative office. I don't know whatever they call it there because I'm not very familiar with the area. I just know where I need to be. I will be there. Hopefully I see some of my subscribers there, some people from New York Firearms. That's what I'm looking forward to. If you see my vehicle, you'll know, especially the people on New York Firearms. Trust me, there's not going to be any doubt about which one's mine. I'm only concerned about where the parking is. If anybody has any info about parking in the middle of that big CF down there in Albany, I would appreciate it. Apparently the NRA president's actually going to do something. The NRA is going to do something. I'm thrilled. The NRA is actually going to do something. It's only, coming up on, what, a month and a half since the thing passed, and the NRA is finally doing something? But he's going to be there, and he's going to speak. Some of the senators, I think Kathleen Marchione is going to speak. I think some of the other people who voted against the SAFE Act are going to speak out on this. So I'm excited. I'm going to have a nice sign, and before the rally happens, well, I'm going to actually video log the whole thing, so there's none of this that happens on the mainstream news. Yes, there was some sort of gun rights rally today in Albany. There was like 20 people there, but it wasn't that big of a deal, because that's what they'll do, because that's what they did with the last one. The last one, there was 2,000 or 3,000 people, might even been up to 5, and some news stations reported it as a few hundred. So I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm going to have a full documented coverage of this for my entire day, because I actually have a little special assignment to do for work beforehand. So I'll probably be getting up around 8. I got that assignment to do, and I'll probably leave after that. So I'll probably be getting to Albany about 10 o'clock, and the rally starts at 12. So that's how concerned I am about getting parking down there. I'm going to get there actually a whole 2 hours earlier, so things can work out on that. If you have any questions about going to this, don't just blow it off. They got questions about it. I don't want to go. Ask, because we want as many people there as we can, and this is definitely one that I'm not going to miss because it's supposed to be pretty darn big. So that's pretty much it for the rally. So talking about the SAFE Act, I've really learned something about politics since the SAFE Act has been passed. I knew it before, but I mean, it's just been so blatant since the SAFE Act has passed that there's no doubt in my mind. It's not like, oh, these people are just the radical extremists and this and that. What's been happening, though, is the propaganda. I mean, it has just been ridiculous. Every news station reports any sort of pro-gun event as either they don't report it or just a little thing, when in fact it's huge. And then you even got Cumhole himself saying things like, oh yeah, it's just a vocal minority. Well, even he can't even keep up that lie anymore, because it went from a few extremists, that's what it was last time I reported on this, and then it went to a vocal minority. It's a little step up from a few extremists. Now it's only about 11% of the state's counties. And in reality, it's been the majority of the counties. It's actually been the majority of the state this entire time. They have a map, and I'll see if I can put a link to it here in the description box, that shows resolutions that have been passed against the SAFE Act. Counties that have actually voted against the SAFE Act. Mine just did so tonight. It's actually a very nice resolution. I'll probably put a link to that in the description box as well, about things that were voted on. This resolution that was voted on, and it passed, and it says, like, we provide a resolution whereas, they always have to say whereas because they got to make it sound fancy, right? Whereas the Second Amendment is not about hunting and sport shooting, it's about a possible defense against a tyrannical government. I'm surprised that a government entity like would pass something like this, because it's got such strong language in it. But hey, It talks about how this was rushed, how the whole process was ridiculous, how they snuck the stuff through in the middle of the night, and how that should never happen. It talks about how you're making criminals out of citizens if they should decide to constitutionally decide to not follow this unconstitutional law. And it's a really interesting read. I'll post that down there. That's what my county did, and they passed that resolution just tonight. But there's been a lot of just besides the SAFE Act. Let's move away from the SAFE Act for a second, but still on the topic of these guns things. There's been a lot of stuff that's been going on that is not right in this country besides just this SAFE Act. Like, the one that happened recently was the Donner thing, I think, Dorner, whatever the hell his name was, the LA cop that threatened to kill his fellow policeman and actually did, and then he went to some cabin up in California and they burned it down. If people don't see how that's grossly unconstitutional, I don't know what is. They didn't give the man the right to a fair trial. Whether I think he did it or not, that's personally, that doesn't matter. Oh, what do you support, cop killers? It doesn't matter. You don't even know if he was a cop killer. Okay, but that's irrelevant because you didn't give him a trial. For all you know, he didn't do it. For all you know, he could have been doing it in self-defense. It could have been anything. But you just decided to take that law in your own hands and burn down the house, burn him down alive. Something's not right about that. But then again, you get the people who, again, act on emotions, just like the stupid gun laws. Man, he was a cop killer, man, he was a cop killer, he deserved to die. That's not true. I mean, the Sixth Amendment wasn't put in place for people that, you know, oh, I think they deserve a fair trial. Obviously, it was put in place for people that you don't think deserve a fair trial. Just like the First Amendment wasn't there to protect, you know, talking about the weather and stuff. It was there to protect talking about bad topics. Just like the Second Amendment wasn't there to protect sportsmen and family-friendly guns. It was there to protect all of the guns that you might need to defend yourself. You know, it goes that way with every amendment, because you wouldn't have an amendment to protect something that's, you know, not in danger. Why would you want to protect the right to talk about the weather and stuff like that? I mean, obviously that's not what it is. People are so stupid in this country, though. Speaking of stupid people in this country, here's another topic that I think is great. Again, not totally on the SAFE Act, but well, I guess it's very related. It's comical how many things except properly defend your life these stupid motherfucking politicians would rather have you, specifically women, because this is this thing that's brought up most often, specifically women getting raped. There's so much bullshit they'd rather have you do than properly defend your life. If you don't see how that's a major problem with this country, you need to wake the hell up. For example, what have we had in, I think, the past month? Instead of defending yourself, let me give you an example of the left versus the right. Well, not even the right, because the right's a little stupid, too. So let's just say what these liberal idiots are trying to push, progressive liberal, whatever you want to call them. I know there's good people, and I'm just going to call them douchebags. Whatever this is what the douchebags would want versus what the rational thinking people. Oh no, let's use the anti-word. The common sense people would versus. Okay, first of all, we're gonna talk about the common sense people. This is how they would handle it. Okay, a guy has decided that he's going to rape you. It's really not that hard to tell when somebody's going to rape you, as some of these douchebags might want you to think. Oh, well, you might crack off a few shots at somebody that's not even really trying to hurt you. Yeah, I'm sure that happens all the time. Just, yeah, this I'm sure we have actual stats on that, and that's just not a made-up lie. But so a guy's decided to rape you. So he pulls out a knife and he, I don't know, makes a threatening gesture towards you, like he's going to cut off an article of clothing or something like that, and you do something ridiculous like pull out your gun, and oh, he runs away. Or if he doesn't, you shoot him. He's threatened your life. You can respond with such force. This is an imaginary gun, of course, because I don't own any anymore. So that would be a rational thing, defending yourself. It's been going on since the beginning of time. If you were in the, you know, from the first parts of recorded history, and a bear decided to attack you, and you didn't really have an option, I mean, fight or flight. I mean, it's kind of a ingrained physiological process in your body. I mean, that's just the way it goes. You have to defend yourself. That's the way it is. Now, here's what the douchebag version of that is. These politicians' versions. Somebody decides to rape you. whatever you do, do not try and defend yourself with a firearm. No! That's bad. No! No! How dare you try and defend yourself from somebody trying to kill you? That is bad. I don't care if your body has built-in defense mechanisms. I don't care about it. This reminds me of that quote when the person, they dogged the Republican for that guy saying, well, if it's a legitimate rape, then your body will shut down. Okay, yeah, you're a retard, but listen to what these douchebags want you to do. Okay, if you're getting raped, don't defend yourself. By God, don't defend yourself whatsoever. Don't even think about it. Instead, try to puke on the person, try to piss your pants, tell them you're on your period, tell them you have an STD. Or, number 4, or number 5, this is a great one, just comply. There's always therapy at the end. Hell, if you ask our fucking vice president, why don't you just crack off a few shots with your double-barrel shotgun? Not only is that illegal, that's, let's say it together now, retarded. Because you typically don't want to shoot things where you don't know, what you're aiming at, like, I don't know, firing a few warning shots off from your balcony. Not that anybody in position would ever advise that. I advise you to do something like that. Not only that, but then you've wasted those 2 rounds, and if you have a double-barrel shotgun, then what? You're going to face somebody with an empty weapon? Brilliant idea. The criminals in this country have way too many rights. They have way too many rights. It's just so... it shows you the infestation of stupidity in this country. Instead of defending yourself, well, by golly, try to puke on them, piss on them, and tell them you have an STD. What? How deep of an ingrown infestation with the mentality and the education in this country do you have to be to believe that's not the fucking most whack job thing you've ever heard? That's just unbelievable, in my opinion. Yeah, don't defend yourself. Humiliate yourself even more, because now you're going to be covered in puke, covered in piss. Now you're going to be covered in puke, covered in piss, and raped. So why not just add to the fun, right? Are you fucking kidding me? That's just... Oh, and then there was another quote, speaking of what stupid things these politicians say. I think some idiot in California, and they grow them out there. They grow them out there like fucking hotcakes. Once said, like this police chief said, handguns serve no defensive purposes. They're for intimidation factor only. If they were for intimidation factor, why wouldn't you give your cops 500 Smith & Wesson Magnums? Because I assure you, you point that at somebody, they're going to be pretty intimidated. They're going to be pretty intimidated. Why would there be such a great industry that even the cops are a part of for these little pocket carry guns that shoot 380 in these small rounds, and they can easily slip in a pocket so you can always have it with you? That's not very intimidating. Hell, you pull that on somebody, they might not know what it is until they have holes in them. Why wouldn't you give your cops 500 Smith & Wesson Magnums? Hell, Desert Eagles. Get them a fucking AA-12 shotgun. It's just for intimidation, right? That's, again, it's so dumb, and I asked, how ingrained do you think this needs to be? How ingrained does this have to be for people actually to think this? I don't actually think they think it. It's really more, they're buying into this stupid party shit where this is what my party believes, and this is what we're supposed to believe out here, so I'll come up with the dumbest fucking thing I could ever possibly fucking imagine to bend it to that. It's, I don't know. And then, back on the SAFE Act now, it got so little support, the SAFE Act, that Cuomo actually, and they did this, they decided to hire protesters to come to our rally and, fuck with us or some shit like that. But it eventually got canned because they kind of figured out that they were shilling for him. So that idea got shot down. Their excuse was, though, there would be a violent outbreak. And what they're trying to get into the people's minds and grain that in there is, oh, the gun owners would just shoot the opposition. That's not true. I can tell you what would actually happen. The scrubs that would come on these anti-gun buses would actually cause problems. Because if you've ever seen these gun rally videos, or any videos where you have some sort of a progressive movement and then some sort of a common sense movement, you see a very big difference. When you see videos for the gun rallies, They're all respectable. They have their signs. They're protesting. They might get vocal about it. I mean, they might get vocal about it and say, hey, you know, this person sucks and that. But that's fine. They're usually, you know, well behaved because I mean, you have every right to voice your opinion. Whereas if you see something more progressive like Occupy Wall Street for people that don't understand economics, basic economics too, those are the people that'll like burn the cars down and they'll shit on the street and cause fights and riots that need to be broken up and all that stuff. So if they came to our rally, I assure you they would be the ones that would cause problems, without a doubt. It wouldn't be us because most of us would just ignore them. They would be the ones getting up in people's faces with the same rhetoric crap that we always hear. Why do you need 30 rounds? Nobody needs magazines that big. I just read a great article in the Gazette today that I swear must have been written by a 3-year-old. It was like, oh, the NRA is losing its ground. The majority of Americans aren't even gun owners and don't even want to deal with that crap. First of all, that's factually incorrect. The majority of Americans are gun owners. But then she goes on, well, you can't provide a valid reason why you need those big magazines, why you need those big magazines. I don't know. A, I don't need to provide a need for anything whatsoever. B, if I go into a competition like 3-gun or something like that, the minimum you might need is 10, whereas most of them you need about 15. C, it's already been decided that that's about the right amount that you need for a defensive firearm anyway, when companies like, I don't know, the most popular company for defensive pistol firearms in the world, Glock, developed their Glock 17 with a 17-round magazine. If they thought that was too much to defend yourself, why didn't they just provide it with a 10-round magazine? I wonder why that is. I mean, it's just such a stupid argument that you hear it over and over again. And why do you need these assault weapons? Again, if I could call a banana an assault weapon, and then you could use that same line, and it would just be as ridiculous. So yeah, just a lot of stupid shit going on with the SAFE Act. And oh yeah, the petitions, like they have over 100,000 on Kathleen Marchion's petition now. The Impeach Cuomo one, I think, even has quite a few, but of course that's never going to happen. And they're saying, oh, they're thinking about some amendments to this SAFE Act. You don't need amendments to the SAFE Act. Well, even if it was going to go through, like nothing was going to get repealed, it would need amendments because it was so poorly written. There were misspellings. They forgot to exempt like law enforcement officers, stuff like that. But it doesn't need amendments. It needs to get amendment into the trash can. That's it. That is the only place that it needs to go. It needs to die a fiery death. Another thing that I thought was funny about this SAFE Act was, if we remember Mr. You don't need 10 inches to please my wife, Cuomo, you remember what he said? He said, the way in New York is going to be the progressive leader. It's going to be the progressive leader as soon as I write this thing down. Other states are going to be right after us. Well, as soon as he did that, like a whole shitload of states passed laws that said it is now illegal to make any law banning semi-automatic weapons or cosmetic features of some weapons or the size of magazines they can have. So yeah, Cuomo, I don't think you were 100% right on that. I don't think. And this goes back to a previous point. It's just been hilarious how much propaganda he has. It's like, oh, he can see the truth. That's why he's spreading so much propaganda. He keeps trying to downplay the opposition. Oh, it's just a vocal minority, and it's just a few extremists, and it's just a small this. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's just so bad that they're trying to bail out the ship. In fact, they thought they would throw us a bone by lowering sportsman license costs for like fishing and hunting licenses and stuff like that. Well, I don't do either, so you can take those and stick them right up your sphincter for all I care, because you're not going to buy me off that easily. And then the fact that that article I read today at the Gazette, the fact that there is somebody that fucking stupid is just unbelievable. It said she's a nationally syndicated columnist. Well, fucking then I just learned something today. I did learn something by that article. The people who syndicate these columnists must be just as dumb as she is, because that was fucking bad. Oh, the NRA is losing ground, blah blah blah. The NRA has had such a fucking explosion in members that it's unbelievable. I don't even like the NRA, but still, if we're gonna talk about facts here, lady, you're fucking retarded. So yeah. I think I'm going to stop this now because I got to get my signs ready for the rally and shit. I'm going to have some cool signs. But again, I'm going to do a photo diary, I'm going to do a video diary of my whole day during the rally, so there can be no questions about, oh, there was just a few people there and shit, like you'll hear on the mainstream media. You don't want to get your news from there. That's a bad, that's a no-no. So that's it. I think this has been kind of all over the place, just like the SAFE Act. But that's where we are right now. I think. Oh yeah, another thing. Lawsuits. A notice of claim has been filed. I think I'm not very up on what any of this is, but I believe they have 90 days. New York State has 90 days to respond, letting them know that they're going to be sued. And I believe that whoever handles all that shit for New York State was like the Attorney General for the New York State or something like that. Actually, I requested more time because I guess it was such a good case. But it doesn't need to be a good case because it's so blatantly obvious how fucked up this act is that I have no lawyer experience whatsoever, and I could probably take this in and be like, you see this bill right here? Yeah, you didn't even fucking spell this shit correctly, so can we just go ahead and throw this out right now? Yeah. I'll definitely be having more updates on the SAFE Act coming up. We'll see how things go with this rally. I hope everything goes well. And if some big disaster happens, it's not going to be our fault. It's probably going to be some radical trying to show how bad the gun owners are and shit like that. Yeah, so I can't wait. It's gonna be an interesting rally. Hope to see you there. Hope to see some of the subscribers there, some of the people from New York Firearms there, and I'll see you then. I'll have more updates to the New York SAFE Act as they come. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.